Ahí vas. Ánimo. Pues cuando queramos, yo creo que esos de atrás se van a quedar de pie. ¿Sí? ¿Dónde está María?
Allí, al fondo.
Ahí está. Empezamos, yo creo, es más que la hora. Empieza.
¿Esto está encendido ya?
Pues no parece. ¿Sí? ¿Habla?
Sí. O sea, empiezo ya.
Sí.
Please.
Dale con el mar.
Distinguished delegates, institutional representatives, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 7th Model UN Conference, Global Classrooms Cantabria. I want to thank you for your participation in this important conference, in which 2,048 delegates representing 74 countries and 7 non-state actors are going to have 3 parallel sessions of different agencies of the United Nations. Food and Agriculture Organization, with 61 delegates representing 31 countries, will deal with the need of environmental education. The World Health Organization today consists of 67 countries working on clean water for a healthy world. And finally, we have the ECOSOC represented today by 29 countries that will discuss Life for All, achieving universal energy access. I feel very honored to be your Secretary General today. And as such, I would like to tell you a little bit about my experience with Global Classrooms over the past 3 years. I've come to a Global Classrooms Cantabria conference in Santander each of the 3 years I was involved in the program. And I was chosen as a representative from my school and from my community to go to the UN Model Conference in New York last year. And I couldn't be more grateful to the Fundación and to the Global Classrooms program, because thanks to them, I've gained a great deal and I've had some of the best moments of my life. And I'm not a genius and I'm not even above the average. All I did was take it seriously, thinking that this was not a model, this was it. And I was confident of myself. Instead of thinking how much better the rest were, I started to think that I could be as better as them. And I didn't spend 22 hours a day working on my position papers or on my speeches. I took the time I needed to be proud of my work. I still remember how nervous I became every single time I've crossed that door, even today. But I can tell you that my nerves lessened each year, because each time I was more confident, and self-confidence is one of the best gifts you could ever receive from this conference. Now we're going to begin the opening of our 7th conference in Santander. I give the floor to the Director of Educación of Fundación Botín, Mrs. Fátima Sánchez Santiago.
Distinguished delegates, member of the day, Secretary General, teachers, representative of the Consejería de Educación del Gobierno de Cantabria, keynote speaker, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to thank you so much for the work you've done before coming here. I would also like to give you a very special and warmly welcome to the Botín Foundation. Please feel at home. Being this our 7th conference, we can look back and think of all the things that have happened over the last years. In summary, we can look at the facts. 4,086 students from 19 secondary schools in Cantabria have taken part in this program. 66 students have represented Cantabria at the international conference taking place every year in New York. 4 students have directed these conferences, assuming the role of Secretary General. A delegation from Global Classroom Japan wanted to participate in this conference today, but finally it was impossible because lack of time. We share resources online and offline with Global Classrooms programs in other regions. A Model United Nations group is working at the University of Cantabria, and they will take part on the Catalonian International Conference. We are in contact with this group, and we help them as much as possible. We are also very proud of having today with us several students from Bachillerato that participated before in other conferences, and today they are here to help and run different committees. These are facts, and I like them. It is good to work on programs that are evidence-based. But we also need other things, and believe me, you know that other things have happened here before and will happen here today. A lot of anxiety, difficulties, stressful situations. Will I make it? Will I take the right decision? Should I make this proposition? Hundreds of social relations. Go and talk to the French delegate. Please come and see us. We want to discuss about our country position. Force an agreement with China. We need to negotiate. Your proposal is totally unacceptable. Millions of smiles, hugs, kisses. We made it. We are the best. I support you and you support me. This day is going to be full of emotions. Life is full of emotions. Enjoy today as the very special day it is. And please continue working hard for today and for the future. Yes, we need you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Fátima Sánchez. Now I give the floor to the Director General de Ordenación e Innovación Educativa, Mr. José Luis Blanco.
Thank you, Fatima, so much. Thank you, Ines. Well, and good morning to all. First of all, I must apologize for my English. It's not as good as the English of the students present here. I started learning English at the age of 12, and I've never had contact with English native speakers during my primary or my secondary schooling. Nowadays, the students of primary schools and secondary schools in Cantabria have a lot of opportunities to have contact with native English speakers. For example, with the program of linguistic immersion of the Consejería of Educación, or with the language assistance which all the secondary schools in Cantabria have. So all the students of Cantabria have the opportunity to practice real English. But we know that the success on learning English depends basically on our own teachers, on our own native Spanish teachers. It is because of this conviction that the Consejería of Educación of Cantabria makes efforts every year to increase the number of English courses, specific English courses for teachers. For example, we have increased the number of courses in the official languages schools of Cantabria, Santander, Torrelavega, and Laredo. We have adapted the Dutch English program, which is a program of the Ministry of Education, to teachers. And we have hired more teachers to reinforce this program. And finally, we have offered new online free English courses for teachers through the British Council, for example. We know that we cannot fail, not only because we have highly compromised teachers. I didn't find a word. Not only because we have highly compromised teachers, but because we have the best of them. And finally, the students. I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you for taking part in this contest. This contest is a friendly one. All of you have already won, because the purpose of being here is to improve your English. And this goal has been already achieved. But I know that some of them are going to get a special prize. I heard something about going to New York. Well, I like to say see you in New York, but I'm afraid I'm not going to be awarded, am I? No. Well, the only thing I can say is, well, best luck to all of you. And again, thank you very much.
Thank you, General Director. I suppose that the 7 people that were sitting right where I am during the last 7 Global Classrooms conferences have told you that this is an amazing experience, that you will learn a lot and that you will enjoy this day. Sorry. However, you've also heard it from your teachers and maybe from your parents too. However, you should know that everybody is telling you these things because they are true. Indeed, I didn't see it when I was sitting where you are as I see it now. And I wish I had, because even though I did take advantage of this experience, I could have done even more. Because you want to get as many chances in life as possible to be involved in such a unique project. One in which you will learn things that you could not learn in any class, things you will not forget. Take advantage of what I'm telling you, not because it's me who's telling you, but because it's your future and you're working towards it. So don't wait until it's too late. Work hard and enjoy opportunities like this. I now declare the 2015 Global Classrooms Cantabria UN Model Conference open.
Me da miedo darle.
Gracias. Menos mal que no sabías inglés.
Porque te he visto pronunciar también, digo, joder, se me van a olvidar todas las Ds del final. Se me van a mezclar las cosas.
Muy bien, lo habéis hecho.
Please. It's for me a pleasure to introduce now our new special guest, Mr. Ricardo Losa Jimenez, Deputy Assistant Director for International Technical Organizations at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Cooperation. He has a Master in European Law at the College of Europe in Bruges. However, after completing his studies, he opted for the Spanish diplomatic service and not for the European Union. He entered the diplomatic service in 1998 and has developed positions in economic, cultural, political, humanitarian, and cooperative diplomacy, in bilateral as well as in multilateral missions. Among his multilateral positions, we can put forward his participation in the Paris Club, International Debt Between States, in 1998 and 1999, at the Commission of Human Rights in Geneva in 2001 and 2002, and his participation as Deputy Permanent Representative at the United Nations Programme, Environment Programme, and at the United Nations Assistant Mission in Somalia between 2011 and 2014. Throughout his career, he served as a diplomat in The Hague, Geneva, Luanda, La Paz, and Nairobi. In Madrid, he was in charge of works related to economic diplomacy, media, and technical organisms. He speaks Spanish, English, French, and Portuguese. Welcome, Mr. Losa. You have 15 minutes for a speech, and after that, we have 5 minutes for questions.
Well, let's be, first of all, responsible about time, which is one of the key things in all conferences. I would like to start with a few words for those of the first year. I remember my first conference, and I was excited. It was a great challenge. I had to work with people who knew much more than me, and I had to show that I was a valuable, useful member of my delegation. That was a challenge. And it's a challenge particularly because the UN is not especially an easy organization. You've already heard the mess it is. It's 195 countries and flags, and then so much more of stakeholders, NGOs and others, observators, 4 cities that work as capital of the organizations, 6 languages, well, 1 + 5. In fact, it's for me very, very strange to address a formal conference in English, because in this kind of conferences we use translation, and of course, being in Spanish, I cannot use any other language. But it's a pleasure for me to use English today, because one of the things you have to learn is that languages are an instrument for communication. Please don't be shy. 95% of the people that work in the United Nations do not speak English as a native language. So we are there, we talk what we can, but the important thing is that we understand each other, we communicate, we express our intentions and our values. So that's something that you have to bear in mind for today. Other things, well, it's very complicated. First of all, the language. Sure, you have simplified it, but one of the difficult things of working in the UN is acronyms. All these letters, big letters everywhere that you take almost a year to understand. And the people that works inside use systematically, most probably to impress you or to make you feel lost. Don't let them. And then you will learn another thing. It's the magic of words. Some words have a special meaning. You will hear about partnership, efficiency, responsibility, share, but common but differentiated responsibilities. All these kind of things that we diplomats use to hide other things that are stronger. Well, that's an instrument you will learn to use. Don't be too impressed and don't be too ambitious to learn them too early. But you will get them. Anyhow, what's UN and what's it all about? What's its function? The UN is about having people together. It started with having the states together. Then states were not enough, and then was needed to include stakeholders, NGOs, groups of interest, companies, would-be states. That's what we call voice, is one of the magic words. Voice means representation, the opportunity to say what you think in an equal term to anyone. There are not big countries, there are not small countries. There is not even small NGOs. If you had your accreditation, you can talk. The second thing is peace. Probably the UN is about building peace. Of course, that's not the issue on your work today, but it's one of the most important works in the UN. For Spain this year, we are members of the Security Council, and that's where peace and war is dealt with. That's very important. I mean, then the size of resources that are devoted to war or to peace, the size of destruction, the cost in development, in lives, in money, it's really important. It's something that really merits an effort. And the UN is there for that. Maybe it's not very successful, but it's very little else around to deal with peace. And sometimes, not always, there are success stories. The third thing for the United Nations is development. Development by coming together, like today. Development by expressing your problems when you are representing a small country, and trying to find ways to help when you are from a medium to big one. It's very important. And that's what you are going to do mainly today. Because, as I said at the beginning, the UN started as being an organization of countries. But the very first minute of the UN in San Francisco was a sentence, the first sentence of the declaration of the UN is "We the people." And the United Nations is about people, more than what you think. Today you will work on health matters, children, water, environmental matters, but also related to agriculture, climate change, and on energy. There are three big problems, problems related mainly to development. But, as I said, you will discover also that there are not small problems, neither there are big problems. If you have a big problem, you only just cut it and start solving smaller problems. It's very easy. But the important thing is that there is not a single solution for every problem. And everyone has a different approach. All the approaches are valid. And so don't be shy about expressing your opinions. Or don't be shy on defending what you think is a fair solution or a fair proposal. In the end, one of the important things of the UN is that we work by consensus. What means that you can hold your position until the end. You can always step back. So don't be shy again. But it's important that all the approaches are valid, but you will only have success by respecting the others and by gaining their support. I give you, you give me. And in the end, the important thing is adding support. I wanted to tell you about what are the most important things in the UN this year, 2015. Some of the things you are dealing with are in our agenda as professional diplomats. The two big issues are the agenda for development and climate change. The agenda for development is, well, mainly because the Millennium agenda is coming to an end this year, 2015. We have to complete the review that was started in 2010 and build a new agenda. So it's a moment for stock-taking to think what we did, what we could have done better, and what we need to do for the future. Development. Development is about making people come to equal standards, avoiding the most unacceptable situations in the world, famine, inequality, lack of dignity, oppression. They are very big words. But they are not only big words, they are only facts. And there are facts also that show that things can be done to make it good, and that problems have a solution. Maybe not a quick one. I mean, we've spent 15 years in the Millennium Agenda, and then if you make a balance, probably there is only one goal that has been achieved. Of course, we will try to meddle with the statistics and formulate positive messages, but yet, it has been a success. It has been a very, very great success because we were able to sit together, identify goals, identify instruments, identify indicators, and set ourselves to work together. I'm sure you're bored by now about the 8 development goals and what's all about. So most probably you've done your preparatory work and you know it. Most probably you know also all the history of how we came to the Millennium Agenda and probably what we are doing now for the next post-2015 agenda. So, I mean, unless you want to deal with it, you will always be able to put any questions now. So I will not bore with you with all this data. This year, as I say, is very important. We have 2 very big conferences on development, one in July in Addis Ababa, and then the Great Summit in September in New York, just previous to the Assembly General. I wanted to deal a bit with the procedures, with how we prepare these conferences and how we prepare the text, which is going to be part of your work today. For example, there are two processes parallel in time in this year. One is climate change for December in Paris, and then the two developmental conferences, the one in July, the one in September I told you just now. For the one in September, which is drafting a new agenda for development, we've been working now 3 years with almost monthly meetings of groups this big or a bit bigger. So it's a long, long work. And now we only have 5 months to go, maybe 6, and we have a big mess. I mean, it's the only way you can express it. It's 17 goals. We don't know if there are 17 or, well, but Secretary General says it's 17, isn't it? Yeah. We have 6 principles. The conference says that 4 they like, 2 might be. And then we have 169 specific goals or specific actions. And we don't yet have indicators, but that could be something in the range of 300 to 400 indicators. That makes changing the whole statistic work of the whole world. And that simply cannot be done. So there's a lot of work to do, and that's the kind of thing that you may work today. So think about principles, the big goals you have to achieve, goals, something concrete that you want, actions, so how you reach there, and indicators, so things that help you to measure your evolution towards achieving your goals. That's one of them. The other thing is the products. We say the products, the deliverables, the documents. There are different kinds of documents. You have declarations, resolutions, recommendations, papers and non-papers. You have all kinds of things. Maybe it's a bit long to explain to you what's each of them, and what's their value and how you use them to navigate through the conferences. But well, I mean, if you've come through some of them, think why things are done formally sometimes, informally some other times. Choose your place to negotiate. We were having a talk before entering with the Secretary General, and she told us that, well, I mean, you have to be at the beginning of the opening session, and then it's not easy to know where you have to be. The Secretary General, for example, normally, the real one, is at the opening and then has a very, very stressful agenda behind the walls, on the corridors, in his room, in his office room, meeting a lot of people, organizing the work, trying to solve problems in an informal way, because as much as formal meetings are important, informal meetings are the key to success. So again, don't be shy, go all around the delegations, know everyone, take about this intuitional perception on this one I can work with, I can reach an agreement or a compromise with this other delegate, or simply that delegate is very dangerous, it's not going to agree with me anyway, and don't lose your time. So that's some of the recommendations about the negotiation, the system of work. And then, if you are using them, think of all the instruments or the organizational instruments in the room. Think about the plenary, the formal and informal, what we call, with a funny name, the committee of the whole, the cow. And then of commissions, committees, group of friends, friends of the presidencies, drafting committees, all these kind of things. Think about ways to deconflict the discussions and to find solutions. And that will help you a lot. And always remember to help the pen holders or the presidency. But just be cheeky. Help the president or the pen holder to give you your reason and to success with your principles. Thank you, and now the floor is yours. I mean, I would like to hear from you. I would like to help with the things that really interest you.
Thank you, Mr. Loza. Delegates, you can now ask questions. Are there any questions in the audience? The boy at the back.
Do you think that giving energy to poor countries like Lesotho, Burundi can help us to reduce their poverty?
Well, that's as you saw in my presentation. I've spent now 10 years in the third world, in very, very rare third world sometimes. Electricity is key, but especially in rural Africa or in rural third world. It's not the way of electricity you understand here in Europe. It's another thing. It's off-grid electricity, which is key. But think about, one of the surprising things of the tropical countries is that every single day the sun drops at 6. And you have 12 hours of complete darkness. So by having, if only a solar torch, you can read back your lessons at the school. And that's such a difference. If only you can have a bit of light in your kitchen or in your room where you do everything. I mean, you don't have to burn wood or oil to have light. And increasing your health is incredible. And if you can go beyond just a single solar torch and you have a bit more of power, a small quantity more of power, you can pump water. You can imagine that, well, sadly, it's girls who do it. But the main task of many, many, many girls in Africa is spending 2 to 3 hours every day to go for water and to carry water. Water is really heavy. And then you drop your water and you go back to carry wood. And you spend another 2 hours. And it's already 5 hours. And you only have 12 hours of light. And that's life in the third world. Yes, I mean, it's paramount. And then, of course, if you talk about development, it's not only just these very domestic things. It's communication, internet, lights industry, whatever. You need energy and clean energy.
Is there another question? Sudan? Please.
In your opinion, what Millennium Goals have made the least progress?
Sorry?
What Millennium Goals have made the least progress?
Oof. Well, I mean, it's controversial. It's controversial. I mean, if you go through all of them, there are success in all of them. Progress, the least progress, probably environmental sustainability, the 7th. The third world, the G77 would say partnership, the 8th. Some stakeholders would say gender equality. which we are lagging quite a lot. Some people would say, first, poverty, because, well, we reached formally the goal of having less people under $1.25, but the inequality is rising, so we reached the goal, but it's meaningless. We have success and defeat stories in all of them. It's possibly a political choice.
Delegates, we have time for another more question. Haiti.
Thank you.
Oh, well, sorry, Senegal.
Do you agree with fracking?
With
Fracking,
fracking.
yes.
Well,
Please, delegates.
fracking, it's important at community level. It's less important as a global issue. But of course, if you do not defend your house, your street, your valley, your environment, your horizon, it's not worth working for a global issue. You have to think locally also. I mean, people need energy and has to pay a price for it. Sometimes the price is too high. But again, I mean, as a diplomat, I have to recommend a balanced basket of energy provision, and you have to think for the future. Personally, I'm very much on greener things, and I think we have to make a big effort to decarbonize the economy and think about other ways of doing things and think about the future, but not in the immediate term of fracking, but in the long term of climate change. But again, I mean, you have to be ready to pay the price. Fracking is there and it's successful because it's cheap. But if you go to the street and ask the people, are you ready to pay double price for oil? And that's a real question. Are you ready to pay more for the oil for your car? If you are ready, let's go for other ways of producing energy. If you want to pay cheap energy, you have to also pay the cost for it.
Actually, delegates, with time for 2 or 3 more questions. So,
what was it? I mean, I've got one. What was it that made you think? Here. What was it that made you think I want to be a diplomat?
Ooh. I don't know. It was. I was about your age. I mean, I decided to start studying French when I was 15 years old, something like that, because I wanted to be a diplomat. Why? I don't know. I was always very much romantic. I thought about civil service and the public and the social goods on working for the administration. I'm still a romantic, and I think I have a wonderful work. I don't know. Maybe I thought I could represent my country and I could help doing things.
Any other question? Guinea-Bissau.
My country is Guinea-Bissau, and
I know it. I've been there.
And as a poor country, we can't afford sanitation and education.
Ah.
So my question is, what do you think is more important?
Which one? Sorry?
Sanitation or education?
Sanitation or education? Wow. Well, there is not a single solution for every country. In the case of Bissau, I would say education. But because Bissau is a very special country, Bissau, it's almost a third of the country is wetlands, and it gets drowned under water twice a day so it's just it's a very, very incredible country, very funny one. And so there is so much natural water that cleans it a lot. But it's a different choice. When you choose education, you are thinking of the future, on having better people to solve the problems of the community. When you are thinking about sanitation, you think about health, about don't seeing babies die of diarrhea, of not wasting a lot of time being sick and not being able to work or to go to school. Again, you need to balance all things. That's why we have now 17 goals instead of 8, because you have to work on all fronts at the same time. Sometimes it's easy to start with one and then we'll do others. You cannot choose between your brother or your sister. You have to love both of them.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Loza. Before we finish the ceremony, I want to remind you of some important things about the organization of your working day. You now have 5 minutes to go to your committees. Please follow the staff to your room assigned. Delegates, on your seats, you will find the conference documentation and your placard to participate in the conference. The working sessions start at 10:20, and all sessions will take place at the same time. The World Health Organization is going to be in this room. The FAO is going to be in the seminar room on the 3rd floor, and the ECOSOC is going to be in the multipurpose room near the entrance of this floor. Each committee will have just 35 minutes for lunch, and I want to remind you that you cannot leave the Fundación without a teacher. The timetable is on the schedule. Please follow the directions given by the days. All sessions will end at 20 to 5 before the closing of the ceremony. You will have a 15 minutes break in your committee while the participation of the delegates is being evaluated. Please leave the room as you found it, with no trash or plastic bottles on the floor. Remember that you are not allowed to leave your committee or the Fundación without permission from the days or accompanied by a teacher. You will be given instructions to go to the bathroom in your conference room. Before you depart to your respective committees, I want to remind you that even though this looks scary, you don't have to be afraid of making mistakes, because we all make them sometimes, and making mistakes doesn't make you worse. Nobody's gonna laugh at you because you make an error or because you're nervous. At the end of the day, you will agree with me that this wasn't that bad, and you will leave here with good memories from today and maybe some new friends. Rest assured that the more confident you feel, the better you will do.